Great.
Yeah, going along with
Yeah.
other topics we want to
Yeah,
talk
no,
about.
I
It's
think
just-
that's fantastic. Start whenever we're ready.
All right. Everyone ready? Overwhelming response. All right. Welcome to the Messinic Regional School District Board. Nice to have you all here tonight, and those who may be watching at home or at their local restaurant. And we have a full agenda tonight, so I'd like to start out by not only welcoming everybody, but asking for someone to do the Pledge of Allegiance. Chris, would you do that for us?
Allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Chris. All right, call to order. I assume everyone's had an opportunity to review the agenda for tonight. Are there any agenda adjustments anyone would like to make?
I have a few. The first would be to add and move to the top under reports to the board, student rep from MRHS, Maya Jenkins. The second is to flip-flop under new business, B and C. School care assessment should come first, followed by the DOE packet, the DOE 25 packet review.
All right. Any other adjustments? And just for notification, we will be moving into non-public tonight towards the end of the agenda. The date and time of our next meeting will be October 20th, 2025 at 6 p.m. here at the SAU. And we have two board meetings to review. One was a public hearing meeting and one was the meeting of the last board meeting. Have you all had a chance to review that? Public meeting was 9/15, 2025. And if you haven't, take a moment just to look it over, and I'd like then to ask somebody to make a motion to either accept the minutes or for changes.
I have some one proposed change for the board meeting, not the public hearing.
All right, and what change is that?
It's under 5, the second item, or the conclusion of new business. There's a spelling error and a number that doesn't look correct. It says king of 10,000. I think it should be 10,000.
All right.
Donation in kind of 10,000.
Okay, let's deal with the board meeting minutes first. Any other changes or recommendations to those minutes? All right, with the recommendation that Tim offered, may I have a motion to accept the minutes?
Make a motion to accept the minutes.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right. The minutes have been approved with the one change that Tim Summerow recommended. Now the public hearing minutes of 9/15. Any changes to those minutes?
No changes. I make a motion to accept
All
as
right.
written.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, and then those minutes have been accepted as well. Thank you very much. All right. Rachel, I presume you're not here as the public. Is that correct? Okay. There is no one here representing the public wanting to make comments. If someone should come in during the meeting, we will stop the agenda and attend to that request. But at this point, I'd like to make a few board remarks for Chair remarks. Pull out my notes here. First of all, I would like to, for the record, publicly thank the 6 people who have volunteered to be on the Advisory Budget Committee. John Shamloffel has been elected as chair. Amanda McKinnon has been elected as the secretary, taking the minutes. All members, with the exception of one, have had experience being on the ABC before, so I anticipate that it will be an efficient and effective committee in their next meeting. They have been through an orientation. They had their first committee meeting last week to get organized and take care of housekeeping issues, and then their next meeting will be on October 14th at the high school. I also want to make an announcement that I will be gone from October 17th through November 15th. I'm planning to come back for discussion on the first pass, the first draft of the budget. I will be, in all probability, Liz and I have been talking about this, but in all probability, I will zoom in on the 27th when the budget is presented. But I will be coming back on the 3rd when there are questions and discussion about the first draft. And perhaps with some of my own questions or suggestions as well. For that, the ABC will be operating on its own on the 14th, but they have the experience that that should not be a problem. And then Ellen has graciously accepted to fill into my position as running the board, the next board meeting, which will be on the 20th during my absence. I think that concludes the chair remarks that I've made. I do want to say one thing because I missed the last board meeting, that I was very impressed with the open houses that I attended. I enjoyed them immensely. Enjoyed talking to a lot of teachers and other support staff. And the one consistency among many that I experienced was a high level of enthusiasm and energy from all of the staff. I observed them talking to parents, children, high schoolers, etc. And they came across as being very proud of what they do, very knowledgeable about what they do, and were very engaging. And so it was a fun experience going to the open house. So I want to say to the board, to the building principals, you all did a fine job of organizing. Thank you. All right, that ends my reports, my chair remarks. We can go on to reports of the board. And Maya, this is your first opportunity now. Keep in mind that whatever you do is going to be setting the bar for everybody else. Okay.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Maya. I'm a freshman at Messinic. Happy to be here.
Well, we're happy to have you here.
I know that this previous week at Autumn Fest, the class of 2029, we did a fundraiser. And we're planning a school dance. I went and talked to the class advisors for the upperclassmen and the sophomores. They're also planning lots of fundraising. I wasn't exactly sure what they're doing, but yeah.
All right. As you get more experience, it'll become second nature. Because you should have seen everybody on this panel shake like a leaf the first time they did. It was rough, but we're here to support you and we're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
All right. Dr. Porgazelski, would you like to give your report?
Yes, I have a few things. I'm not going to beat a dead horse here. Open house was great. All three schools had a great turnout. Higher turnout than I was used to seeing at the high school. Highbridge is always, can barely breathing room. And Boynton, again, is consistently busy as well. It's nice to see some of the older kids go down to the middle and elementary school to see their former teachers. That also happens. I previewed a little bit in my board report about the budget preparation. This is a big week for us. We're beginning with our budget buddy meetings with the ABC members. We also on the 24th had our advisory budget committee meeting. That was again an orientation for board members, just talking a little bit about how the budget is developed, the process that we use, how the money is appropriated, and what the role of the ABC is. Really looking forward to how these budget buddy meetings go, to see how, and to just have our first blush of what this is looking like going as we kind of head into the season of budgeting. Sportsmanship, I had wanted to talk about a couple different issues. There were a few issues brought to the attention of myself and Mr. Pickering by NHIAA. 3 issues in about a 2-week span. The nature of the concerns with that fan, specifically male members of the student body, were calling out individual names of female athletes. Sometimes it was taunting, sometimes it was derogatory. We, like any school, take this seriously and took a number of steps to address this issue, including Mr. Pickering sent a letter out to parents explaining the behavior and asked parents to work with us in helping to educate their students. He held a meeting with the student body during Viking Block to talk about athletic etiquette and highlighted that these events that we attend are an extension of the learning environment in the classroom. I went to the Messina Booster Club meeting and discussed this issue with parents and talked about and brainstormed different ways that we could collectively manage this. They had some great suggestions, and they were open to bringing in a paid speaker to talk to our student athletes. Mr. Pickering's kind of been chasing that one down. We recently, 2 weeks ago, met with another district to talk about these issues. This district also has taken steps recently to address sportsmanship conduct, specifically of their fans. And we kind of walked through and brainstormed ways that they've had success and how that could be applicable for us. Since 2 of the complaints happened at volleyball matches, there's been an increase in administrator presence at the volleyball matches. There's been a shift in the fans, in the student section where they're sitting. Our gym is very small, and if you've ever been in it, and you're kind of like on top of the court. So we actually asked our student section to come in the middle of the gym, so it's at the line of the volleyball net. A little less intimidating for people that are on the court. And as far as preparation for the next season, Mr. Cocozella will be holding a mandatory parent meeting with parents and students. Currently, we have a practice where it's voluntary, where people can come and hear about, the athletic code of conduct, everything about physicals, practices and whatnot. And so he'll be holding a mandatory meeting with parents to just talk a little bit about what this means. So essentially, we are not going to tolerate students or fans who target individuals, who make bigoted comments, who make derogatory statements. It's not necessary, and we can be better than that. Wanted to call out a few donations.
Can I just make a quick comment on the sportsmanship aspect of it?
Yep.
Well, from what you've said, this is more directed towards the student body and the fans watching. I have, from my experience going to certain athletic events and the feedback I've received from other parents and things like that, that our student athletes are well regarded with regards to their sportsmanship. Especially, my experience is more with Boynton athletes than the high school athletes, so that's what I'm more speaking directly to. But have received numerous compliments about our students actually cheering on the other teams and making sure that everyone feels positive through cross country, cheer, field hockey. I think our, and I think that goes to the coaches and the the administrative staff for supporting those children, teaching and coaching in the right way, and really that sportsmanship aspect is really being brought out, and I think people are seeing that as well. So I want to highlight the positive, not just the negative in some of these situations. That we do have good quality character athletes out there that are well regarded.
I would agree. Generally speaking, our rankings for NHIAA at the high school level have been at the bottom of the barrel for the past 2 sports seasons. I think that Boynton has a better overall reputation than the high school right now. Recently, I saw, or my husband called attention to a Facebook post. There was something that happened at a cross country meet, I believe or it was a soccer game. I forget which it was, but it was specifically about how our athletes at the middle school level were cheering on someone who was, I think, falling behind, which is, again, in light of these events, it is not all of our student athletes, right? It is not all of our sports teams. And I think calling attention to the positive is important.
I want to just ask one question. So is there recognition for that, a person who's exemplary in sportsmanship at all levels? Is there an end of season award for most improved, most valuable in a sportsmanship as being a model? Is there any kind of recognition program?
There is a recognition program through NHIA, actually. So I believe 3 years ago, we won the award. I do think individual coaches at the end of season sports awards, I'm not sure if they account for sportsmanship, if they give a sportsmanship award. I know they do coaches award. Maybe that's something we could leverage.
And it's something, if we go way back, I remember being a candidate, usually most improved, but yeah, sometimes sportsmanship. So
okay, so to continue, we want to call out a couple of different organizations and individuals who have donated recently. You'll see later in the agenda, we're accepting, I'm asking for the school board to accept a donation from the Messinic Booster Club. I can talk about that then, but again, they're included in this. Walmart from Ringe donated a variety of school supplies. We got a huge donation from them, really helps supplement what the schools have available to students. Again, pencils and crayons get broken quite a bit. So it's nice to be able to have that. Sometimes send that home, a packet of pencils or crayons home with kids, so they have that at home as well. Contoocook Valley Realtors donated school supplies to each of the schools, including pencils, crayons, markers, and folders. And Sully Turner, a local homeschool student who, through his karate club, donated backpacks full of school supplies to Highbridge. Right? I thought that was really, really sweet. Our upcoming goals and projects, again, we are continuing to hire. We still have some paraprofessional positions that are open across three buildings, and we're still looking for a BCBA. We're continuing to open schools. We are seeing the honeymoon period as far as behavior begin to end, and so we're getting into the fun stuff. We're continuing to promote the vision of a learner. There's been a lot of work in the past week with our progress toward content competencies and our district competencies. And again, the biggest and most important, developing and passing the district budget, is something that we're going to be working on for the rest of the year. Any questions?
All right. Ms. Gray.
Well, good evening. I started my board report with just remarking how busy September has been, and October seems to be in line, geared up for that same feel. We have had several grant funding opportunities We are eagerly awaiting the word on our COPS School Violence Prevention Program grant that was submitted last spring to the Department of Justice. The word was that we would hear back October 1st. That has come and gone. I checked again today. I sent an email out, and I'm hoping to hear back shortly. Additionally, we heard about the SEED grant from the Energy Department here in New Hampshire. They were offering $150,000 grants for a variety of school and energy efficiency projects. We wanted to take advantage of this particular grant for the high school to replace some of our oldest rooftop heating and cooling units. They've been there since the 60s, so it is time. We're hoping to get ahead in our capital improvement project list with this grant. And finally, there is another grant opportunity to support student literacy that is out in that we just learned about last week. 5 schools in the state will be awarded. It's very competitive. I am attending a virtual meeting on the 15th to learn more about it, and we'll see if this is a right fit for us. We also are looking at Discovery Ed, which I will bring forward for our next board meeting. This is also State of New Hampshire reporting time, data reporting time. So every year by October 1st, we have to do a collection of data, including enrollment data, staffing assignments, the student course enrollment, free and reduced lunch status of students, and a number of other things that is all reported to the state. Our enrollment data is then turned around to as a factor in our average daily membership, and that then is calculated, is used to calculate state funding. I just wanted to thank Linda Gergay, Donna Benoit, Jocelyn Laponzi, and Tess Pasica, who collect the data, who build the reports, submit them. They're then reviewed by myself and eventually certified by Liz before they're completed. So a lot of work goes into that. Additionally, we are talking about budgets. One of the conversations that is coming up in the budgets is our new 306 minimum standards that were approved by the state. Those are going to impact a few departments, specifically at the high school level, social studies in particular. It's one of the departments that I happened to be able to have a conversation with as they were beginning their budget process. And in that conversation, we learned that psychology needs an updated resource. So that'll be coming forward to the board shortly or during the budget process as well. And then last week, I was able to join the Highbridge Hill folks as they began the academic competencies project with NHLI. NHLI brought a bank of resources that were received by the staff at the elementary school with words like, "This work is long overdue," "It's about time," and the documents that were presented are what we have been asking for years. So that felt like a really nice endorsement. Today, tomorrow, and Wednesday, the BMS staff is beginning this work. Liz was able to sit in with them today and overall felt that this was a positive day for them, and we're looking forward to continuing. Things that are coming up: data coaching for admin and SAU staff, Discovery Ed grant, as I mentioned, psychology text adoption, continuing the Scenic Mondays. We've had our 3rd round today, high school to begin their work with NHLI, and then a Branching Minds continuation for our multi-tiered system of support handbook development. October 10th, this Friday, we have our PD day. The work that is on the plan is data and academic competency work at Highbridge and Boynton, inquiry-based learning at the high school. We have a flu shot clinic going on for our employees. There's a mentee luncheon that is being sponsored by the MEA. They're going to talk about their observation cycles. Mentees went in to observe mentor classrooms, and that was a nice opportunity. And then CPI training for crisis teams, among other things. But I wanted also to thank our principals for getting behind some really big district-wide initiatives. They're in the driver's seat a lot of the time. Competency-based education, multi-tiered systems of support are huge academic and school movements. And it takes a lot to arrange subs, to guide staff and support staff in this work. So I just wanted to thank you all for that work. And that's it. Thank you.
Melissa, I have a couple of questions. When you talked about the psychology curriculum needing another or a new resource, what does that look like?
So we have a curriculum adoption process, and essentially what happens is the teams will identify a need. They will then communicate that need to their principal, to myself, and then they are set aside. They're tasked with reviewing what's on the market, what is available for an updated resource. They present a proposal, which uses a rubric to vet the quality of that resource, the rigor, the usability, the additional resources to support instruction. All of those kinds of things go into that research. And then they submit a proposal for the product that they would like to adopt. That then comes to me. I review that. I look at the other options. You know, there's a fiscal component to these. So we always look at what is the responsible product, right? I also look at the rubric, and we have a conversation. If there is, for some reason, a disagreement, generally there hasn't been since I've been here in the rubric and in the adoption, then that comes forward to you all. I'll have a sample of the product for you. You will have an opportunity to review it and take into consideration whether it's something that you would endorse the purchase of.
And assuming you go forward with that, then that would be put into the curriculum for the following year.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
One last question on the grants. I think these are fantastic opportunities. How is the work coordinated in writing a grant? Is it a team of people that come together, and how does that work?
So the seed grant is a good example. Seed grant came across our desk. You know, I get an email that says from the Department of Energy that says, hey, this is an opportunity. I sent it off to Craig and I said, hey, Craig, what do you think? Rachel and Liz were a part of that conversation as well. And we determined that we have needs that this could potentially support. The four of us sat down together. We reviewed the grant and determined whether the lift of the grant, because all of those come with lots of red tape, right? So whether the lift of the grant was worth the work that was going to be put into it and worth the outcome. And in this particular case, we determined it was. And so our fingers are crossed that we'll be awarded. But then Craig will submit the information that I need. I will then go into the application and draft that up as best as I can, and off it goes.
Mr. Chair, if I'm, Melissa's being very, Melissa does a large amount of the work here. Melissa requests the information. She's being a little humble here. She requests the information and everybody gives her bulleted information, and she turns out the grant for these big grants, the COPS grant, the SEED grant. We do have a grant writer who helps us with some of the IDEA and title grants. But for these other grants, last year we received the transportation grant, $208,000. That's Melissa.
Well, I'm not surprised to hear that, but aside from the people who contribute, because I understand it does take a team, I, on behalf of the board, want to thank you for being at the helm of all that, because my experience is that this district has been very successful overall in being able to secure grants, and that speaks to your competence in handling that kind of task.
Thank you so much. Federal grants, I will say, are the bane of my skill set, and I don't look forward to those, but I am hoping that we are awarded that school violence prevention grant, because it was
Well,
a good
I can
one.
tell you from your words that grant writing, federal grant writing, has not improved since the 70s at least. So, but thank you very much for what you do. All right, Ms. McBee, I understand you have a report for us.
I do. Good evening. The first couple of months have been filled with positive momentum across the district, students, families, teachers, despite some recent behaviors that have been coming about in the Student Services Department. That's okay. We love that. That keeps things interesting here. Staffing update, as Dr. Pogo had mentioned, I am still looking for a BCBA. Tirelessly, with the help of Melissa Gray as well and Liz Pogo, we're working very hard on finding the right candidate for this position. We also are still actively looking for a case manager for Highbridge Hill Elementary School, along with paraprofessionals across the district. It's very competitive out there, but I'm not losing hope yet. Got to keep the positive momentum and stay encouraged. Obviously, my ultimate goal here is to ensure that students from preschool through grade 12 and beyond have the supports that they need.
Just mention paraprofessionals is a great job for any of those moms who are looking for something that can be mother's hours, right? This is we come to work when kids are in school and we leave when kids are done for the day. So this is very tailored. You do not need a special degree or special skill set. You simply have to enjoy working with children and be willing to learn as you go. So we're hoping for applicants at any time.
And I do want to give a shout out to the registered behavior technician and our registered behavior technician intern, as well as the paraprofessionals and the case managers across all 3 schools who have been taking initiative when I am not able to be physically there in person, while I also assist as the BCBA for the district as well. So thank you, everyone. I truly appreciate it. Upcoming goals and projects. I'm excited to launch new opportunities to strengthen communication across the district. As I had mentioned, my first board meeting with you all is the one project that I really want to focus on is Coffee with McBee. I am hopeful to hold this the first Monday in December, actually just be preceding the December board meeting. I think it would be a great opportunity to get families here to chat with me and or other special education teachers if they want to avail themselves. These will be very informal. They're designed to give parents and guardians a welcoming space to ask questions, share ideas, and learn more about the resources across the district and get to know me separate of being the BCBA for their child. Lastly, the Student Services and Special Education Department is diligently preparing a budget that will strategically align resources to ensure that all of these students have what they need across the entire district. Looking ahead with appreciation, as we move deeper into the school year, the Student Services Department remains committed to fostering environments where students feel valued, supported, and inspired to reach their full potential. Again, I am really hoping to find more individuals that love and enjoy working with children to give these students what they need. Any questions for me?
Yeah, I got a question. So I really appreciate the outreach and the session for parents and guardians to have a welcoming environment. Do you have any examples, like example questions that a parent or a guardian might bring in just to start a conversation?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
I have, again, details are not finalized, but I was thinking of creating a Google form that I can send out to families, obviously with the assistance and support of Dr. Pogo. But that's what I was thinking. That's a great question.
And what do you expect to have parents ask?
I would hopefully find out with those Google forms,
okay,
but
got it.
again,
so that's a way to submit a question.
Absolutely,
absolutely. I didn't quite understand.
Tim, I would anticipate that some parents maybe don't know what it looks like when their student's getting specially designed instruction. Like, what does this look like? Or what does it look like when my child's having a hard time, which is a very unique situation where Miss McBee doesn't want to get in the situation of having a parent conference, right, in a group full of people. So managing that conversation, I think talking about special ed, what the goals are, sometimes I think there's some misconceptions. You know, when we talk about a student exiting special ed, sometimes people are like, oh, it's not a bad thing that a student exits special education. It means that they've made progress towards their goals. So again, I anticipate probably some questions around that. Staffing, what does it look like? Maybe even what rooms look like, what space looks like. But the Google form would be a great way to generate that.
Thank you.
Brianna, I have one question. A couple of years ago, there was a community project that focused on a variety of issues, and one of the pieces of feedback the project received was that there were teachers, and I don't know how widespread it was, but there were teachers who were a bit confused as to what their role was and what they could say if they felt that they had a student that should be evaluated for special education. And can you talk a little bit about that? Are you experiencing that with the current teachers at all? If they have questions about whether they, for instance, if they are meeting with parents and they perceive that a student would be well served if evaluated, can the teacher recommend that to the parents? There was a certain amount of confusion.
I'm going to take that.
Why? Miss McBee is.
I'm taking that.
Okay.
Taking it, and Miss McBee can handle it after for the gaps that I missed.
Okay.
So I would argue that at the time that the CAST report came out, that no one met with administration to get the administration's side of that coin. So I'm going to give the administration side of that coin right now. We as educators, specifically teachers, are not trained to speak to diagnoses.
Mhm.
That is not our job. That is not our role. It is the role of an expert. So in an IEP process, in an IEP team, we make team decisions. So as an individual on a team, I can have an opinion. The process, unfortunately, has often been go request to get evaluated. And that doesn't help anybody. It doesn't help address the problems that are necessarily being seen. We have a process, and I think one of the things that Brianna has identified that I think Miss TV Paw before her identified is that the process can be better and better suited for questions and concerns. One of the issues that, for example, we can see at Highbridge is the inclusion of an additional reading and writing interventionist to Miss Johnson has significantly reduced the referrals to special ed. Correct? Like significantly. So there are internal processes that I think we can get better at. Again, providing intervention before we're going to special education. I think as parents, we want what is best for our child and we want it now. That doesn't always happen because of the processes that we have. And sometimes that's investigative. We need time to figure out what the problems are. If staff are confused about what process they should follow, they should ask someone else. But when a staff member gets in a situation where they separately, outside of a team meeting, make a comment or a suggestion or a recommendation to someone that is outside of their field, they're putting the district at risk. Because if I make the suggestion to someone that your child, I think, is autistic, or I think your child needs an auditory processing test, in making that recommendation, they're stepping outside of their certification area. So again, I don't think any of this is ever done with ill intent. I think the intent is always to try to help kids. And I think we need to be better about our process. That's my soapbox. I'll get off of it.
If I
Touchy
could,
subject.
if I can
No.
just add as a response to some of this work, one of the things that the CSI project has done is really point at this. And so that's where the Branching Minds contract has come in. MTSS, or multi-tiered system of support, is that wraparound and clear up and refinement of the process. As I mentioned, that one of the things that are coming forward in the work begins November 6th is the MTSS handbook. That handbook then unpacks additionally bringing in SST, which is a student study process that we have now, and brings that into a handbook of how do we do this? And so it's uniform and consistent across the district. And that's a partnership between a general education perspective, which I would represent, and the student services side of this work. Because I think that's where it becomes tricky. There is a general education place for intervention in supporting students. We don't just rush to a special education identification. A student who is struggling doesn't mean they have an educational disability. And so as a teacher It is not my place to get there. It is my place, though, to intervene when a kid is struggling. And so unpacking, wrapping that up, creating a standard protocol for this, or clarifying our standard protocols will help benefit everybody across the district. Sorry, Brianna.
That's an important one.
Thank you, Dr. Pogo and Ms. Gray. Yes, absolutely. And I would love to say that the individuals in the schools, though everything's not mainstreamed as of yet, it is one of my goals, I hope, for this 25-26 school year, is to obtain an SST process where all 3 schools are doing the exact same thing. So there's no questions, who does what, where do I go to? Additionally, the service providers, they provide RTI, which is response to intervention. They very much like the reading specialist at Highbridge, Ms. Johnson, they are incredible. They are not asked to do these things. They do it because they want to help students. So it's a great tier 1 support. And they will never turn any classroom teacher away. They might stray them in the correct direction, which is, hey, why don't we do this process? But at times, if they need to intervene, they will intervene, which is beautiful.
Thank you very much for a very comprehensive team report.
Thank you.
Do you have anything else, Brianna, you want to share?
That is it. Thank you.
All right. Thank you for your report. Mr. Pickering, I think
Evening,
you
everyone.
are, we've been waiting all evening for your report.
I'll try to condense it. I realize that the report is,
I read your report. It's very comprehensive.
well, and as you guys might suspect, it's not all inclusive. But I sit here, I'm like, oh, I should have included this. I should have included that. But first, I do want to extend my gratitude to Ms. Jenkins, who I think is taking an enormous step out of her comfort zone to be here. And not to speak for you, Maya, but I think it's an excellent opportunity for Maya to learn leadership. And, I asked Maya several times if this is what she wanted to do. And we sat down and I said, you might hear some language like, making motions and this, that, and the other thing, and she's still with it. So thank you, Maya.
So Maya, since you're a freshman, we expect that you'll be doing this for 4 years.
On the spot.
All right. Well, in 4 years, you could become chairman of the board.
There's a lot to learn about networking and just the overall processes that take place here. So I do think it's an excellent opportunity. And, to speak truthfully, I think that we're, all committed, Mr. Taylor and I, to helping Maya integrate into this process and really be a voice for the student body. So
I think that's fantastic.
yeah. My board report, I think that, it covered multiple themes. I tried to capture the positive energy and observable degree of interactivity that is taking place at the high school, from, the authentic and applied learning that's taking place in the foods and nutrition course, all across the board. Really, I get snapshots, right? I can't possibly capture everything that goes on in one day, but the deliberate efforts in Ms. Higley's room to connect with outside service providers, is specifically the Ag in the Classroom program, getting students, applying the theoretical knowledge that they're getting in class and creating, as well as bringing in static displays through the National Guard, things of that nature. I'm not most excited, but very excited about the upcoming PD, and to echo the earlier comments by Dr. Pogo and pretty much everybody in here. Ms. Gray has been instrumental in bringing that together. Professional development workshop days are really something that are important to me. I will always want them to be meaningful. And I know that there is a whole wealth of outside resources that can do that more effectively than I. And I was really impressed at and appreciative of how quickly Ms. Gray brought all of that together for us. So, fortunately there's no snow coming, so I don't have to worry about that. But, once we're off the ground on Friday, I'll be, I think it'll be very useful for staff. And it's all aligned with our NEASC priority areas, particularly the instruction and student learning, right? We want to empower students and to really pique their curiosity about things. And I think that Dr. Spencer, he's a recognized, international speaker. He's spoken at the White House. And we're really hoping to, develop that concept of deep dive learning. So I'm really excited about that. Obviously the sportsmanship stuff that is on our, radar. I will say that when we had our whole school assembly, I was quite proud of the attention that the students gave. And I mean, you could have heard a pin drop in there. And that's not always the case when you get 200 plus students together. And, I was very proud of them in that moment. And then later that night at the volleyball game, I was very proud of them. Like even if, and I'm not saying it was, but even if it was a little contrived, the good natured cheering, brought a smile to my face. And so that was very nice. I do want to recognize, my report, recognize some student accomplishments, not all of them, but I thought that they were relevant in terms of their connection to operations at the school, specifically the school counseling department, the work that they're doing to try to develop the extended learning opportunities, as well as our students who've been recognized for their their musical gifts and the hard work that they've put in there. We're really making an effort to celebrate those accomplishments, as well as the accomplishments of our staff, particularly Mr. Thomas Jufrey. In my report, I noted that he'd been invited to. He's going to be speaking at the conference for the Association of Choral Directors. I'll get the acronym wrong, but so he's a young teacher with a lot of energy, and I think that's very characteristic. Yes, the honeymoon period is kind of over, but the collaboration that goes on, whether that's building leaders, whether they're giving me good feedback on, even if it's like the type of text I'm using in my newsletters and things of that nature, and just the feedback on beginning of the year operations, it's very informative and helpful. I'll with that, if anybody has any questions, I won't use up any more oxygen.
Did I may have misread, but I thought I read somewhere that your orchestra 65 members?
What was that? Sorry, I didn't hear the first part.
The high school orchestra has 65 members? Or is that Boynton?
Boynton.
Okay.
But I will say, just that reminds me that at the beginning of the year, I talked about, I think we were in the initially around 80 students of the student body who were going out for athletics. Our other clubs and co-curriculars are really starting to take off. We've even seen, Jalen Callistro in the science department is promoting a new science club. It's yet to start, but it's really geared towards career exploration and hands-on labs, as well as the drama club is starting up soon, and obviously chess and robotics has already taken off, and Mr. Jufrey is trying to host a range of music ensembles. There's guitar, drum line, things of that nature. He's been very proactive too. I think he's going to be trying to host an open mic night here coming up at the end of the month. But there's lots going on, and the board report, I think, is trying to capture, what we're doing in terms of our instructional services and our professional development and recognizing students.
Excellent. Thank you, Greg.
No problem.
Sounds like a lot is going on.
Definitely. I keep telling myself it will slow down,
You
but
jumped into the job with your running shoes.
I sure did.
All right. Very good. All right. Next, Kevin with the 65-member orchestra.
I can start there if you would like. It's our band is at 65 members now. 2 years ago it was at 25.
I know.
Last year was 55.
I think
This
it's
year we're
amazing.
65.
Congratulations.
Even with some students backing out of band, wasn't for them at this time.
Right.
We're still increased our number there. So I'll just work through the board report that way then. Our art students, they're fifth grades learning watercolors. 6th and 7th grades are working on graffiti projects. Ms. Dapolito's looking to actually teach them how to use spray paint to do graffiti, not on the buildings, don't worry, but on cardboard in the field, on the grass. So we won't paint the smart parking lots. The PE classes are learning field hockey, 8th grade math has been working on exponents and scientific notation. The 7th graders read The Outsiders. And a side note, Miss Allen's brother was an extra in that movie in Oklahoma. So not in that report, but in the 6th grade, ELA is working on relationships with nature, and science is learning about natural hazards and disasters. The 5th grade, they're doing multi-digit multiplication, social studies learning about continents and oceans and physical features of the United States. Recently, Miss Galley, our phys ed teacher, started the 100-mile challenge. It's a number of steps the students are taking to see if they can walk 100 miles in the school year. We used our walkathon, which is our annual fundraiser, as part of that for their challenge. And that walkathon fundraiser is to raise money for their DC trip starting in 5th grade. If you're out there soliciting to get some funds, you could get your DC trip paid for by fundraising by 8th grade year. Recently, we did our NEWA district testing. We included science this year on top of the ELA and math that we traditionally have done. We'll be looking at that data on the PD day on the 10th. Our open house, we had about 75% of the families come. It was well attended. And as you mentioned, they could meet the teachers, view the spaces they're learning and things of that nature. In our DC trip, just kind of an update on that, we had 46 students express interest in attending. As of last week, there was only 11 officially signed up. They do have time to still sign up. I believe either the end of this month or the beginning of November is the cutoff. One bus can accommodate 48 students along with the chaperones, and they travel to Gettysburg first, DC for a few days, and then they wrap up in Philadelphia on their way home at the Constitution Center.
When is the trip?
April 13th to 17th. I believe that was that Monday through Friday.
What is the criteria to be a chaperone?
A Boynton teacher.
You have to be a teacher.
Well, students that are identified needing special ed students, we have sent paras in the past as well. Yeah. Okay. So we have the Boynton staff go. It's a well sought out trip that lots of people would like to go on. Chaperones.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not a week off from school. It's actually extra work, but you also get to go see DC.
Yeah.
So.
May I?
Go ahead.
Mr. Fondas, what is the plan? You said there's 11 students currently signed up?
Officially signed up.
Officially. Yep. Is there how will we handle this moving forward if there is not a lot more interest than the 11?
That's a question I do not have an answer for at this time.
Okay, I didn't know if there's a minimum amount that the travel company would be looking for us to have, because obviously the fewer students you have, the higher the prices, right?
Yes.
And it's the bus,
And if you go to a second bus, the price increases as well.
Well, with 11 students, I'm
Yeah,
not
no,
sure
I'm
we're
just
going to
saying,
be
yes.
at that.
So I'm not sure at the moment.
Okay, but that's something that
Mhm.
we can look into.
And then the only other thing is we have picture retakes on the 21st of October.
Thank you very much for the report.
Thank you.
Mr. Saunders.
Hi, good evening. So my board report went all the way back to the start of the school year, since it's been a while since we've had an opportunity to speak. So I'd say we've reached the point at High Bridge where separations in the morning are no longer an issue. That does take a while, and sometimes it's the student not wanting to let go, and occasionally it's the adult that doesn't want to let go, and sometimes that can create some difficulty. Our school counselor is wonderful at helping transition students in the morning and working with families, but we're in a good spot with that now, thankfully. As mentioned, open house at Highbridge Hill is a really kind of, I mean, I don't know how else to put it except it's exceptional. I mean, I'd say we easily are at 95% participation. Thank you to Mr. Gluck. You attended, and I think one of your photos from our evening made it into the newsletter. Visiting, it was nice to see you there visiting classrooms and really putting eyes on it and seeing what goes on there. But I would just like to acknowledge that we this year had representatives from the River Center, our outreach coordinator, the school nurse, the reading specialist, reading writing interventionist, the PTA, as well as both New Ipswich and Greenville Public Libraries present for the evening, which was just, it's great to have some community stuff going on as well, right? It's not just about the school, even though that's really why we're there. The report from the two public libraries is that we had 18 new library cards given out on that evening, which is great, supports our push for literacy. I think in these last few years, we really have invested a lot between full-time librarian, CSI money, et cetera. Our book vending machine it's a talking point. I mean, it was a showstopper at open house. That this push for literacy is really starting to, I think, take hold. And while it'll take some time to matriculate through the grades and the buildings, the hope is that, you know, in a few years we'll really see some difference made by that. So really excited about that. And again, keeping with the literacy theme, we're bringing back the Scholastic Book Fair. It's been a number of years since we've had that at Highbridge for a number of reasons. One, again, pushing this idea of literacy, you know, books in kids' hands and kids choosing books that they're interested in, and really just, you know, supporting that this is who we are at Highbridge, right? And so as our vending machine says, you know, a community of readers, and that's what we're trying to push forward. So the hope is that our book fair this year, it's going to be scheduled for March, and we had a number of volunteers sign up to help at open house, more than we actually needed, which is great. The PTA is going to support us with that. We don't actually get money back from the Scholastic Book Fair, but what we get is Scholastic bucks to invest in books, with the hope that we will invest that money that we get from book sales into books to get back into kids' hands, whether that's through keeping the vending machine full and going. I can say we've given out over 70 books to this point from the vending machine, whether it's for birthdays, students being recognized for kindness, just celebrations in general. I mean, we had that homeschool student come in to donate some school supplies in a backpack, and you know, it was a great photo opportunity, but that book vending machine really caught his eye. So as a thank you to him, of course, on the way out, he got himself a book out of that machine. So it's just great, right? It's just a good push for what we really want, which is kids to love reading and get into it. So, and then the last thing is sort of my challenge, you know, for what's been a challenge this year at Highbridge, I would say have been our buses. For a number of reasons, the gamut. So we had, initially this year, we had a number of unavoidable issues, such as accidents, not with the buses, but that prevented buses from getting where they had to be, or parents getting home to get kids off buses, trees down, mechanical issues. I mean, nothing worse than the kids get on the bus to leave and the bus doesn't start. And then you are waiting for another bus to come retrieve those kiddos and take them. So those are unavoidables. But we have had sort of a pretty significant uptick in bus incident referrals for behavior. And so steps we've taken to address this already are in my weekly email to families. It started at the beginning of the year with some reminders about the bus rules and expectations, things to review with your students at home, you know, that we can get a little support on the other end of it. The buses are obviously hard because they're not within sight of us. So Lisa Wilkinson has watched countless hours of bus videos to this point, which I think initially students don't realize that those cameras are real until they come in and they see, oh boy, those cameras are real. Like, that's me, and I did that, and now I have to talk about what I did, right? So she's obviously been messaging with families, talking with individual families. We've put out several messages about expectations. We're planning to have a bus stay on site one morning in the next couple of weeks for us to take students to the bus and do some training in the environment. So we're going to get on the bus, we're going to get in seats, we're going to talk about what does it look like on this bus to be safe? What are the things we can do? What are the things we can't do? Because it's hard to have those conversations sometime in the office, right? Or in a classroom or somewhere. So getting, I think, into the space will help give it some connection for students. This is at the elementary level. There's a newfound freedom in not having a seatbelt, right? And so our kindergartners in particular are struggling. We've had a great number of our reports coming from kindergarten students, which again, this is their first time unbuckled and having this freedom to move about, like in a vehicle that's moving. So having them understand that just because you're not strapped in doesn't mean we get to, wander about or visit our neighbor behind us or ahead of us or 5 rows ahead of us. So we're kind of working on those things. And it will be just kind of an ongoing push. We've made it part of our morning announcements, reminders about the bus. This past week, we did our live morning announcements, which we do in a news broadcast style into the classrooms. It's actually great. And we did touch on bus stuff there. And every day at the end of the day, as we gathered our bus students in the gym before we leave to board the buses, we're doing general reminders about, each of us having our responsibility to make it a safe bus ride for us and the people around us. And so we're continuing to work on that. And the hope is that it will improve. Last week, I will say, was a vast improvement over the first few. So I think it's starting to sink in. It just took a little while to take hold. And then not in my report, but worth sharing, we just wrapped up last week our 3 days of visits from NHLI. All of the teaching staff, every grade in the Unified Arts had a half day work with them to work on vision of a learner, competencies. Ms. Gray supported us 2 of those days. Dr. Pogo supported for the half day Friday. I was with our Unified Arts to end the day on Friday. At the end of our week, I got really just some wonderful feedback from the ladies at NHLI about the experience, our staff, their receptiveness, their questions, their thoughtfulness, their general effort with it. I think that the work they did was great and a great start. It's going to lead us into next Friday's workshop day. Half of the day will be spent now that the teachers have the tools and sort of the directive. Now they can really pick up the work and do it and make it theirs, which is kind of, they brought a lot of templates, a lot of showing, a lot of exploring some other examples, what this might look like. And all throughout, the directive was, these are samples and now you're going to make your own, right? But it's a great starting point. As I've said to all of them, I think it's relieving to the staff to not start with a blank piece of paper and say, write competencies, right? So they were given a roadmap and said, start here, now it's yours, right? And I think that the staff really did appreciate that. I heard great things from a number of them. And I think that they are really set up kind of for success at our level. The challenge obviously at our level is, unlike the other buildings, elementary teachers teach all subjects, right? So they are not just lifting math or ELA, but they will do this essentially for every subject area, which will take some time, but no one has balked at it yet, and fingers crossed that they continue to have a positive attitude about it. But I think we're set up for a good start. So I thank Dr. Pogo and Ms. Gray for bringing these folks in. I think they were really a wonderful resource for this work. So I can't say enough about that. And you have a number of dates on there. I would like to point out we are hosting our very first Hybrid Hill Trunk or Treat on the 23rd of October. If anyone's looking for something to do on that evening, it will run 6 to 7. The rain date is the 24th. I think at this point we have 35 cars already signed up for it. So this was new. We were trying to replace a long-standing harvest social event that involved pumpkin carving, but the pumpkins, it became difficult, right? The cost of them, the cleanup, the management, storage, that we threw this out as an idea, and it's really taken off. So hopefully many of you will be able to join us. I think it'll be, if it's like open house, we're not going to have enough candy. So it will be 6 to 7 on the 23rd, rain date of the 24th, and it'll be right in our parking lot.
So are you having parents also do some of the trunks, or the trunks are?
So the PTA, this is their gig, and they put it out. So people signed up. We have a great number of teachers that are participating, which is awesome to see. Some of them were wearing their costumes in the hallway the other morning on Friday, which threw me for a loop a little bit. They were just practicing. They said, trunk or treat. So yeah, but I think it'll be a great event. In we have a lot of great traditions, not just at Highbridge, but here in town. And it's sometimes hard to think about changing something. And when they approached this, I said, give it a shot, right? If it doesn't work, you can go back, right? But I mean, you have a number of reasons to try something new. And so, again, 35 cars, I think they were out there counting spaces this afternoon to make sure we can fit them all in one lot. And if we can't, what's our next step? So they are still taking volunteers if anyone else would like to hop in. So you can just reach out to me. Thank you.
Any comments or feedback from for the reports that you've heard? I just want to add one thing. You know, after being on the board for a period of time now and listening to the reports, you all have a lot to share and you all are experiencing tremendous successes. We also know that there are times where you experience challenges and so forth. So if there's anything that the board can do to help, please don't hesitate to let us know. All right. Going on to unfinished business. Tim, I understand you want to talk about homework, coffee, and conversation?
Yes. So this is related to the policy committee. And Liz and the SAU has done a extensive policy analysis through the summer. We meet once a month to review some policies, what comes in, what comes out, and the homework policy is coming up soon. The designation is IKB, and we've scheduled 3 listening sessions. One is going to be on the 20th of October at 3:30 at the school for listen to staff and teachers. It's going to be at, do you remember what school?
High school.
The high school. Yeah, high school. I didn't put that in my notes. And that's at 3:30. And then on the 21st at the Highbridge Hill Cafe at 9 a.m. after drop off, we're going to have a coffee and conversation for parents to come in and community members to come in and talk about their ideas and expectations about homework. The last session is going to be on the 28th of October at 7:45 at the Boynton Middle School Library. Same thing, having parents come in and have a conversation around about the homework policy.
At 7:45 a.m.
7:45 a.m. Yep. We put it in the newsletter and we're going to try to do some publicity to generate interest and get a community conversation started.
I was on the periphery aware that this was something that you wanted to pursue. Can you talk a little bit about what you want to accomplish? What are you hoping to get out of this?
Yeah, so generally policies have to follow the law, and in the absence of a policy, we have state law generally that guides a policy. Homework is a lot more at the discretion of the community and the district. And so this is an opportunity for a lot of feedback to come in and inform the policy on homework to be able to support teachers and student learning objectives.
And educate me, maybe others here as well, but educate me is what do you think I don't know if concern is the right word, but what is the issue or concern regarding homework that you are wanting the conversation to address?
There's a lot of, I think that we have to support student outcomes and then teachers. And teachers will go generally, and we're going to learn a lot more when we meet with them, but generally the teachers are going to cover material and then the homework would be a reinforcement of that. Okay, so that's one of the mechanisms. A lot of people in the community that have children, parents want to know what the expectation is. Why do they have homework? Why do they not have homework? What's the idea there? People who have a person in school that maybe a grandchild or some other kid that they love, they want to have a conversation. What kind of homework do you have? Okay, so we can look at adult to student involvement. So it's a free form, and we want to just make sure that we put on big ears and listen.
And this shows my ignorance on the issue. What does the current policy say about homework?
I didn't memorize it. I don't know.
Well, what's the position that the policy takes on homework?
I'm gonna ask Liz because I haven't.
What's the policy letter so we can.
IKB.
It's IKB.
IKB.
Okay,
Yeah.
I can look that up.
It's ambiguous right now. It says
Yeah.
that we can assign homework, essentially it doesn't dictate certain timeframes. It has been discussed in the past. It has come up before. when there were changes brought forward to it. It came up this time with policies because there was a change in the Ed 306s where there was a line or two that was going to be added regarding that teachers had to communicate the purpose and the intent of the homework. And then it kind of ignited a passion, I think. And again, helping. I'm just a note taker. I'm just going to take notes.
Yeah.
And we'll gladly attend.
Okay, and some exploration as to not only homework required, how much it is, how much it counts towards grades. Is that something you're also looking at?
Yes, all of the above. Yep. And there's a lot of dimensions to it. We just want to listen.
Okay.
I'm curious, I have often wondered about the homework issue in the district as well, because I've had a granddaughter go through the elementary school and now middle school and so forth. And back in prehistoric times when I went to elementary school, homework was a very different thing than I think it is now. I don't know what the prevailing attitude is, particularly in terms of research and what experts say the benefits are of education, or not education, but homework and so forth. Will that information be able to be shared? Because
Yes.
I imagine parents are going to be perhaps all over the map in terms of
They
their
are. Yeah,
viewpoint on homework.
It can be a hot button issue. There's a Google search, what are the prevailing trends in homework, public education, that type of thing.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of materials. Liz has socialized some to the committee and real helpful information. So, and we're discussing whether or not we bring some of that. We just listen. We're gonna let the sessions take form in the next couple of weeks.
Okay. I look forward to hearing. Are the two of you doing this? One of you, the two of you? Are doing
We're both going.
Yeah.
Try to be there as much as
Okay.
possible.
We are the
Time
committee.
frames and things. We are the committee. So.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I look forward to hearing, what you find.
Same
what you
here.
experience.
Yep.
All right. Good. All right. Thank you. Dr. Pogorzelski, the staff salary adjustment comparison.
Excuse me. At the last board meeting, we discussed what we should be looking at. Felt like I opened a bit of a can of worms as far as what we do for our non-CBA staff. And so we had talked about a variety of options at the last board meeting. And I think that if we're looking, again, the concept being that what we currently do is we offer just I don't want to say arbitrary because it's not typically arbitrary, but we offer like a 3, 4, or 5% COLA. And a COLA is really a cost of living adjustment. Cost of living is relative to CPI. And our number doesn't necessarily coincide with CPI. And so it becomes a COLA and a raise. That's what it's typically become. So I put this together, and Rachel and I are making the recommendation is we are making market adjustments for certain positions in the next fiscal year to try to bring them closer to market value. And then we want to move forward with a flat raise of 3.25 for any non-CBA staff that are not receiving market adjustments. So if you are receiving a market adjustment, you do not get the 3.25% increase. So that 3.25 is inclusive of CPI, which is currently 2.9%. And then it would provide returning staff with a raise, I don't want to say longevity because that's the term that is used by the teachers, but you're coming back another year. This is a raise. It's not performance based. It's time based. So that is my recommendation. But I'm happy to entertain questions or comments.
Yeah, Liz, I have a question about how you calculate, or how do you plan on calculating the market adjustments? Can you just tell me a little bit, talk about the criteria? What do you look at? Districts comparable size, districts in our area, districts throughout the whole state? What are some of the criteria?
Kind of all of it.
Okay.
I don't think that it's fair to compare us to districts that are outside of our price range, right? Comparing us to a district like Exeter is just, it's not going to work. But I think that we need to be aware of what local districts are offering. For some of the positions, like our custodial positions are positions that can go elsewhere, such as payroll, admin assistance, those types of things. There are, I think Rachel's been working on those, and I believe there's comparing different districts, but also looking at what's that in private. Again, they're not private, and we are not going to full market, because I think that's too big of a jump. But I do think that we need to try to make an effort to get closer, or we're going to lose people, and we're not going to be able to fill the open positions that we do have. Again, payroll is a good example of that right now.
This is just for this year. We'll be looking at how we want to approach it next year when we get there.
Yeah.
Right after the market adjustments and everything.
Yep.
Any other questions, comments? All right, you are looking for approval for this plan?
Yes, because this will be included in draft one. These
So,
adjustments.
May I have a motion to accept the salary adjustment comparison plan?
I'll make that motion to accept the marketed, or the salary comparison plan, I guess.
May I have a
That's what we're calling
second?
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
it.
All right.
Any opposed, any abstentions? All right, it's passed unanimously. Thank you. Next, I believe, Dr. Pogorzelski, you want to discuss some changes in the,
Yep, I just wanted
Employee
to
handbook?
draw your attention to a few changes that we made in the employee handbook. I believe it's page 15, 16, and 17. We highlighted those in yellow. Some language related to when people part with the district, and then some updated policies. At the time that this was originally brought to the board, we did not have the formal policy for vpb-kozf-eoj, the chemical policy. So we were able to include a couple of those updated policies as well. So this is just for information and FYI. This language, I think, better protects the district and outlines how we would handle departures.
any questions or concerns?
I just have a comment. And while it was riveting reading, I did not read all of it. I only read through page 4. If you look on page 4, there's just a little typo that needs to be fixed on that last sentence.
Okay.
Okay.
You're going to finish it tonight?
I'm going to finish it
Right
tonight,
before bed.
right when I need
No.
to go to sleep.
All right,
Sounds good.
sounds good. It's riveting.
It's riveting. I might
Alright.
stay up all night reading it.
All right. All right, moving on to new business. Dr. Pogorzelski, you have course request approval that you're seeking?
Excuse me. Yes. There are two admin requests in front of you. The one for the course is we bring forward admin course approval. It's written into contracts, so this is contract approved. And so I would like approval for that.
All right,
And I can bring the second one is for a professional development, and this one is tricky because this is a line item. This has been budgeted for in the principal's budget. However, to fully reimburse this individual for the rooms, if you look at the GSA rates, the room rate that was booked is higher than what the GSA recommends, and the school board just needs to approve that in order to reimburse at the full amount instead of the 209. So if you see, it's the difference between 209 and 279.
And that's for 2 nights?
For
Is
2
that-
nights.
2 nights. And is the location of where the conference is taking place? Is that why that hotel has been chosen?
Yes,
Yeah, okay.
yes.
Just for clarification.
Are there any concerns about either course request approval? May I have a motion? Will make a motion to accept both, or may I have a motion to approve both?
I'll make a motion to approve both requests, the course request and the professional development request.
I have a second.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed or abstentions? All right, that has been approved. Rachel, you've been very patient. Would you like to talk about the school care assessment?
Sure. September 23rd, we got a sent an email about special assessment that our school districts in the state.
Yeah.
Go to the.
Yeah.
Thanks.
I still am not sure why you're sitting in the audience, but I'll leave that. I'll leave that.
I think it's because she doesn't want to associate with
She
us.
came in and there was no.
Yeah,
I can easily fix that.
You could have fixed that. but-
I could have too, so. it's okay.
she's,
So September 23rd, we got a sudden email from school care letting us know that they will be sending out a bill to us on October 1st for a special assessment, meaning the claims in the past year were higher than the premiums that they've taken in, so much so that they even depleted their reserves. Which I was surprised by that, but I'm not going to get into that as far as, criticizing how school care rolled that announcement out. But so we did receive a bill and it was $407,000, $407,434.99, which is approximately 15% of our total health insurance premiums for the entire year. And that money is due immediately. You may have seen this on the news in the last week. It was on WMUR.
It's been a hot ticket across the state.
Yeah, we're not the only district. Every district that participates with school care has been assessed a similar amount percentage wise. For example, I think Londonderry was assessed $2 million. So it's all dependent upon how many members you have and your premiums. But anyways, so this has been a hot topic with our BAs around the state. We discussed it, and the best plan of action is to likely take the money from fiscal year 25. We did have a surplus that we were returning to the taxpayers like we normally do. My recommendation would be to just take that $407,000 back from the surplus and return less to the towns. Our other options would be to pay interest on that amount and make payments and budget for it in this upcoming budget cycle. But if we didn't pay it by May, they would start not paying our health insurance claims. They would hold back the claims. And if we didn't pay it by July 15th, all claims would be denied. So it kind of put us between a rock and a hard place. And the best decision in my mind was to take from the fiscal year 25 fund balance, which originally was, I believe, $1,074,964. which would leave us returning $667,529 back to the taxpayers instead. Either way, the taxpayers are on the hook for it. It's just a matter of how we want to go about paying this special assessment.
question. This did not happen last year.
No, this is the first time, I believe, in the history of school care that this has occurred.
Is there any insight into what caused this aberration?
So they have been experiencing much higher than normal specialty pharmacy claims and specialty treatment claims. Indicated to me it was a lot of cancer treatments. They can run in the millions of dollars. I mean, this is statewide. This is not specific to our
Right.
district. I'm not trying to indicate that it's our members that have caused this. They would typically have reserves for such a situation, but year after year, the last year as well, they had high claims and had to dip into the reserves.
Yeah.
And this is the year when they finally became to the point where they have to
Critically low.
critically low.
Yep.
In danger of being insolvent if they did not have a special assessment.
Yeah, it just makes, one curious, if there were one community, you could say, you know, something's going on there, but when you see this as something more of a statewide phenomenon, then it really causes one to question what's happened so widespread to cause this across the board, you know? Why, you know, what's unique about this year?
I do have questions, and I've asked school care this as to why we are suddenly hearing about this now. If claims have been tracking high, you know, the first few quarters of this year, why did we wait till
Absolutely.
after the fiscal year ended to let us know? We could have been, you know, warned of it in April and May, where we could have made adjustments to our own budgets.
Right.
But here we are. Needless to say, it was a shocking email to get.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking for permission from the board and to answer any questions, because I'm sure you probably have heard about this, and if you had any questions about the situation.
Yeah.
Do we have a go forward look? I mean, is school care gonna stay as a dying organization or something?
No, and they're doing this special assessment because they want to keep it healthy, is what they've explained to us. We are going to be anticipating
Rate hike.
extremely high rate hikes. They said on average 16%.
And is there any, and then just trying to learn here, is there any like state law or any reason that we have to go to school care? Do we have the options to go to a different provider?
We do have other options. There are other risk pools. One of them is Health Trust. That has also been in the news of being in danger of being insolvent. They're in the kind of the same situation, that they did not have the reserves that school care had. So the state's getting involved with them.
Right.
There are private insurers that we could try to get bids from. The catch there is our fiscal year runs from July 1st to June 30th, and most health plans run from January 1st to December 31st. And many health carriers aren't interested in modifying their plans to suit, you know, governments and school districts.
Understandable. Okay.
They're fully within their rights to do this. They haven't exercised this in recent years. It has caused quite an uproar.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people invested in this, and the result seems to be the same. We end here at the same point. It has to be paid. We don't have a choice. And again, Rachel and I kind of talked about the different ways, and this feels like the only option. Again, we understand that it might not. That's not none of these are good options, right? But again, getting stuck with a $400,000 bill in October is not ideal. So I think that we're lucky that we do have the fund balance to be able to do this.
And even if we went with another carrier, we would still owe this money. It's from
Right,
fiscal
it's
year 25.
Right. And you've analyzed the difference between financing it versus paying it.
I did. With having that money available, I don't see a benefit to financing it.
Because it would be just interest that we pay on.
The taxpayers would be paying interest on that, and then also our employees' coverage would be essentially on pause
Until it's paid.
until it's paid.
And assuming that the decision is to go forward and pay it out of the fund balance, that would leave it what, approximately 600,000, 700,000?
666.
666. And how much of that would the district be able to keep in reserve as opposed to return? Would the plan be to return the full balance to the voters or to keep a portion in reserve?
Well, the school board has already voted to retain some of the fund balance, if you recall.
Right.
I believe it was like $299,000. That's entirely separate. That's not included in this figure at all. That's a separate.
Okay.
The 666 is
That's held, and we can only spend that amount with state approval.
Okay.
The state has indicated that this is special assessment wouldn't apply to that emergency fund. So my first thought was, let's use that emergency fund, you know, that retained fund balance. This is new territory, but the state has indicated that's not a covered situation to use it on.
Right. Well,
Do we, just another question, do we have a sense of what percentage of districts use school care? Like how widespread is it in New Hampshire?
I would say probably 80%,
So it's the predominant health insurance provider.
along with some towns use it as well.
So the risk pool is fairly large.
Yes.
Okay. Must have been the water going through the state this year for everybody to be in this predicament. Comments from the board, recommendations in terms of the options that Rachel has laid out. I'm sure Rachel has her opinion. I think she's already expressed it, but she's looking for approval from us tonight, a recommendation on which option to go with.
Yeah, I think the most fiscally responsible option is to go with it being paid out of the fund balance. It will cost the taxpayers less rather than paying interest. So that's my recommendation.
They won't risk putting any of the employees' insurance on pause. Any other thoughts? Bake sales?
No,
Cookie
yeah,
tables?
it's a bitter pill to swallow. It's difficult. I would lean with what Ellen's thoughts are, is that we pay our debts. And I think it's going to be extremely important as a board that we are informed. So appreciate this, because I can only imagine that this will be a conversation among a lot of people in our communities. It's going to be a hard pill to swallow. Everybody's going to get hit.
Yeah.
So.
And I did speak with our auditors, and they are good. They're okay with us using fiscal year 25 funds. They said it's a valid expense.
Okay.
Is there any, what is school care's position to say we're not going to run into this again? Like, what is their defensive measure as an organization? Is it possible to ask them, or would they have that conversation?
So they had a town hall conversation about this issue a few days after they announced it, and their response was they're raising rates.
Last year, Tim, if you remember, we didn't see as much of a rate hike that school trust had.
Okay.
And this year, school cares will surpass what we saw last year, which we thought at the time was very high. 16%, the anticipated 16% is huge.
Mm-hmm. Now, and I presume the 16% would be across the board to all districts in terms of the risk pool, or is it, how's that based?
They said the average to expect is 16%. Some districts will be less, some districts will be more, and that's all based upon their claims experience.
And do we know we don't know yet.
We're not privy to that information.
Okay.
The rates will be given to us, I believe, November 3rd.
Okay.
We do know that our wellness committee has actually done, I think, a really great job, and even the union, at discussing and encouraging union members to utilize the preventative care measures. The more preventative care measures that we as a district participate in, right? In theory, you screen issues earlier, right? And identify issues earlier. That does impact our rates, and that's something that they've been active in promoting internally. So I think that's a great step that they made last year to try. Again, no one likes a rate hike.
So that's like an eye exam, that type of just general.
A breast exam, yeah,
best
all that stuff.
practices.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Annual physical, that type of thing. And so if that's something that the employees of the district can take advantage of,
And
that'll be recognized as a positive.
Yes.
Okay.
Again, it's those screenings, right?
Yeah, which are a pain in the butt, but they're important. So I get it. Okay.
The old philosophy, you're never sick until you go to the doctor.
Well, yeah.
True.
That's
So let me ask you this. Let's say hypothetically our rate gets bumped up to 16%. And it turns out at the end of that year, that was higher than what was needed. Any refund come back to this community?
So in prior years, when that occurs, when the premiums collected is more than the claims from that year, they give you a premium holiday. And that's spread over the course of a year, so it reduces the monthly rates.
Okay.
So it does. But that's the holidays. It's a discount.
They call it a premium holiday, yes.
premium
And then we
holiday.
pass those savings on to the staff
Okay.
who pay less through their check too because of the premium holiday.
Okay.
So
that would be based on utilization within this community. We would not, if our utilization was lower than expected, but was higher in an adjacent community. We
No,
would
it's
not-
overall through school care's entire risk pool.
Entire risk.
Yeah.
pool. Okay.
And I would say we've had a premium holiday probably twice in the last 5 years. It's only recently that we've had rate increases in the last 2 years.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think we're ready to make a motion. So can I have a motion to pursue paying it out of the current fund?
I'll make a motion to use $407,434.99 from fiscal year 25 funds to pay school cares assessment.
May I have a second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, it's approved. Thank you. Now, Rachel, do you want to discuss the fiscal year DOE 25 packet review?
Yeah, this is more of a formality. I need board signature and superintendent signature on it. It is our financial report that we submit to both the Department of Education and the Department of Revenue. They're looking for this so they can help set tax rates very shortly. So we need signatures. I did include the full report in case you wanted to go through all 43 pages of the spreadsheet.
Is it riveting?
It was very riveting doing it. Yes. I don't know about reading it.
more so than the handbook.
Yes. Yes.
So at this point, all you're needing are signatures?
Just signatures. So I'm just going to pass it around.
Okay.
But I did include it. So if you wanted to review it before you were asked to sign it.
All
And
right.
there's 2 different pages for signatures. One's for the DRA and one's for the Department of Education. Thank you.
All right, Rachel, thank you for
One pen or does it matter?
staying through this meeting. You're more than welcome to stay for the rest of the meeting.
There's not much left.
Might as well get full credit. Okay, while that is being passed around, Dr. Pogorzelski, do you want to talk about the Messinic Athletic Booster $2,000 donation?
Our athletic booster club, as you may know, is very active in our community. They this is actually has been 2 years. I think it's about 2 years. This has been an ongoing project. They purchased and installed the scoreboards at the soccer field, baseball, and softball fields about 2-3 years ago, and we have been using various options for electricity to them. A lot of them involve extension cords. We tried solar at one point, but it's just not, it's proving to be difficult. So at this point, the Booster Club, again, has been working to get underground wires in to provide electricity. They anticipate that this donation worth of services to install the power is about $2,000. Again, we are very lucky in our community to have people who are willing to do hands-on work, donation in kind. So I would ask that the Booster Club, this donation of $2,000 to be accepted by the school board.
There's nothing needed for the field hockey field.
Um,
It just says soccer, baseball, and
It's-
softball. I didn't know if the.
This
I
is
don't know if
this is
that's
for
a
3
no, or
fields.
if
It's
just says those 3.
3 fields right now.
Okay.
May I have a motion to accept the $2,000 donation?
I'll make that motion to accept the donation from the Booster Club.
Thank you.
$2,000.
Second it.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right, unanimous. We have no policies on the agenda. Tim, was there anything you wanted to say in general about policies?
Nope.
Okay, moving on. Does anybody have any items they would like to add for the next agenda at this point? Again, reminding you that this is not your one shot. If something comes up between now and the next meeting, particularly 2 days before the next meeting, you can always submit an idea for the agenda, but does anybody have anything tonight they would like to see discussed in the next meeting? All right. Personnel report.
I wanted to highlight that Jocelyn did make 2 adjustments to the personnel report today. She did note that in the personnel folder. There was an additional person added under nominations, number 4, and then there was a resignation added. That actually just came in today, and I really wanted to get that on here so that we could post and try to hire as soon as possible. Again, my recommendation is that we approve these adjustments. If there's anyone that we need to talk about, let me know.
Have you all had a chance to look at these? All right. Any comments? Any discussion?
Make a motion to approve the personnel report as a slate.
A second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. That is done. Okay, final public comments, and we have no one here for the public comments, so we'll move on to non-public. May I have a motion to move into non-public?
Make the motion with the reason.
Matter of reputation.
I'll make a motion to go into non-public session under RSA 91-A:3, comma 2, parentheses A-C, matter of reputation.
Thank you, Tim. May I have a second?
Second.
Okay, can we vote?
Yes.
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 All right. At this point, we will adjourn the meeting we'll pause the meeting at 8:39 or 7:39, I'm sorry. We'll take a 5-minute break and then we'll come back into non-public.
Okay.